Begins the video for test section 404160. We are in the 3rd Division of the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. We are just south or on the edge of Ada, Oklahoma on State Highway 3W, which is the bypass or a loop around Ada. Right now we're on the south to southwest side of town. This is selected for design cell 3-37, which is wet no freeze environment. We are southeast of Oklahoma City here and in what is considered the wet no freeze environmental zone. We're assuming a fine subgrade based upon the soil survey reports which we looked at for Pontotoc County, which is the county we're in. We've got 9 inches of jointed plain concrete, which is low thickness, no dowels. We have a fine aggregate bituminous base, which is a hot mix, locally known as a hot sand base, sand asphalt that is, which we put it in the stabilized category. And we have extremely low traffic for a pavement structure of this type. I believe this was built in '79. I can double check that later on. The other project that was selected for this cell, which we marked back in June, is also in a low traffic section, but it's a low traffic cell, but it's a very similar pavement design, and it's in Oklahoma City, or actually in Dell City, I guess, on IH 240. The traffic there is much higher than it is here. We have a low overall traffic volume and relatively low percent trucks here. So this does a very good job of extending our distributions that we're sampling at this time. I'll pull up and show some of the scenery around here just to give a perspective of the test section as far as where it's at for later use. Looking on up, there's a church down over there, obviously. Looking on around. We're in the westbound lane of this general area of the loop. We've got a rather sharp degree of curve behind us. This is about the only place on the project that was available for use as a test section, though, and I'll explain some of that as I go on down a bit further. We're in an area here which is essentially in a very light cut, probably best considered to be at grade. It's plus or minus 2 feet within the entire test section. And now we're looking on down the test section. About 0.82 of a mile west of Kerr Lab Road, which is also Mississippi Avenue here in Ada. And we're about 0.24 of a mile east of Oak Lane, which is on down, as you may look on ahead here. Show. You see the overpass down there, that's approaching that area. Walking video tour, you can see we've got paved shoulders here. The permanent marker we used was about an 18-inch long number 3 reinforcing bar driven about 2 feet outside the edge of the paved shoulder. I'm standing off on the side and I'm going to step over here and show something which appears intermittently as we go down the test section, which may be of interest in the future. All this shows up, but we've got about a 2.5 to 3 inch drop off here right at the edge of the pavement of the concrete to the shoulder, and you see some cracking in the shoulder adjacent to the concrete pavement. We notice that in a few locations as you go down, and this is particularly pronounced at the joints. Looking on up ahead, you can see at the next joint downstream we have a similar situation. And then we get into some more on down there. Now I haven't noticed any real joint seal damage on any of this, but and then we do have some faulting at intermittent joints along here, and the faulting in some places does seem to be correlated with the amount of drop-off that we have. Have a place on back up the road which is well up to the east of us, outside of the test section, where there's been considerable damage on one of the slabs, and there seems to be a lot of distress in the shoulder also right there adjacent to the slab. So maybe this is something which will foretell where we may be experiencing some problems in the future. Joint where I just illustrated that was kind of unusual in that it did not have any fault in it. I just passed the next one downstream. I'll stop and show an example here of one which does have some faulting as well as some distress right there at the depression, right at the shoulder where it ties into the concrete pavement slab. You can see where we do have some faulting here. It's hard to tell whether or not it was built in because there's no damage really to the joint sealant really on any of these joints along here. But you can see that we do have a considerable drop off there from the edge to the shoulder, and that does